would like to share with you our experience in putting the consumer protection in the context of overall financial supervision. We, of course, strongly believe that protection of consumers lies at the very heart of the financial supervision. However, it has been traditionally seen as a separate part of the system, where we have, on one hand, prudential supervision, and on the other hand, consumer protection in the narrow sense, or in other words, so-called market conduct supervision. Those two concepts often run in parallel without any direct link between them, and are also often conflicting. When we talk about consumer protection, we usually see mis-selling practices, unfair contractual terms, complaints procedure, and similar. And when we talk about prudential supervision, we are almost always assessing the capital adequacy and the ability of insurers to meet its future liabilities. In our experience, however, those two are deeply interconnected and have deep impact on one and to another of those two concepts. Systematic bad market practices may have a profound effect on the solvency position of financial institutions, and bad reputation in respect of solvency situation of a firm might affect the consumer's decisions. Moreover, it is well established that systemic prudential issues might have adverse macroeconomic effects, and more astonishingly, at least in our experience, bad market practices also might have systemic consequences. Before continuing with my contribution in this conference, I have to make a disclaimer. I'm coming from the Insurance Supervisory Authority, so I will speak about insurance and not about all other financial services, because the title of the conference is Consumer Protection in the Financial Services. Within the context of profound change of approach from traditional financial supervision to risk-based supervision, I believe we have to step also in a different mindset in our views of consumer protection. As already mentioned, consumer protection is at the core of financial supervision. On the level of market conduct, it is concerned with that consumers are treated fairly. On the prudential level, it is concerned with the ability of insurers to fulfill their obligations. And on the systemic level, the supervision is concerned of avoiding the collapse of the financial system as a whole, which is essentially existing, of course, to serve the consumers at the end of the day. On the level of market conduct, we are concerned that the consumers are treated fairly. On prudential level, we are concerned that the insurers pay their obligations. And on the systemic level, of course, we are concerned that the system works as it should work. However, the three different approaches need different tools, as they are tackling with different risks which have different types of impact on consumers. I will call those three types of supervision: market conduct supervision, prudential supervision, and macro supervision, and will further explore on the subject with the hindsight of Slovenian experience. Market conduct supervision is basically covering what has been traditionally called consumer protection within the context of financial supervision. Market conduct is supervising the direct actions that the supervised entities, insurers, brokers, agents, etc., have with the consumers. In analyzing market conduct, we have to bear in mind two important features which distinguish it importantly from prudential supervision. Firstly, market conduct is always focusing on a concrete action of a supervised entity. This might be related to the dealings with a particular consumer, for example, a bad representation of a product in a particular case, or with a class of consumers, for example, misrepresentation in the policy conditions. The second distinguishing feature of the market conduct, which is a direct consequence of the first one, is that supervision is always focused on past historic events, whether an agent has done a concrete act of mis-selling, whether an insurer has put on the market a product offering no protection to the policyholders, and similar. The supervisor is therefore investigating what has happened in the past. The findings are then tested against the provisions of the law, whether an action of the supervised entity has all the elements of, for example, mis-selling within the meaning of the law. As a consequence, market conduct supervision needs an approach which I will call historic approach. historic approach has essentially two phases. First, investigative phase, in which supervisory staff is investigating the facts, whether in an on-site inspection or with the reading of the reports of the entities or based on complaints by the policyholder. When the so-called investigators hit upon an action which might constitute a breach of law, starts the second phase, I will call it the legal phase, in which the actions are tested against the provisions of the law. Just to avoid any misunderstanding, I'm not saying that the supervisors should employ policemen and lawyers only. It's just to illustrate the nature of the work. On the other hand, we have the aim of the market conduct supervision is thus in preventing the insurers and other supervised entities from bad practices affecting the consumers. However, market conduct supervision has another effect, which in my opinion is at least as important as the first one. Breaches of market conduct rules can and do sometimes affect the solvency position of the insurers. And here we are coming to the realm of the prudential supervision. Essentially, prudential supervision is concerned with the risks which can in the future affect the insurers and thus prevent them from being able to meet its future obligations. Within the traditional context of prudential supervision, has adopted a robust approach using a capital requirements formula, prudential actuarial calculation of technical provisions, and the rules of investments covering such provisions. However, with the development of risk-based approach, the supervision has to focus on particular and actual risks facing the insurers. And one of the important sources of risk is the market conduct or market conduct risks. As opposed to the market conduct supervision, prudential supervision has the following two distinguishing features. First, it is aimed at identifying the risks to which insurers are exposed. Please note that it is actually insurers that are identifying risks, and we as the supervisors are supervising the process. And devising the means to reduce such risks or impose on the insurers measures which will have the result that the risks are borne by the insurers and not by the customers, such as additional capital. The main tools of prudential supervision are business model analysis and devising proper supervisory responses. In Slovenia, we are dealing with a concrete example. A life insurer, a specialized life insurer, a monoliner, has put on the market a particular product. The product included a description of the calculation of surrender value, which was misleading. Direct market conduct issue in this case has been in preventing the insurer in selling a product with misleading description within the policy conditions, and the prudential issue has been whether, because the conditions were misleading, it would require of insurer to make additional reserves because it might rise its liabilities. Just to give you a very concrete example from our market. I will also continue with some of other examples from our experience of the market conduct issues which can harm consumers and can have an impact on the insurers. For example, there has been a policy, it was like 15, 20 years ago, with an insurance company in troubles, that they tried to prolong and delay the claims payment process. Of course, the harm to the consumer was that the consumer was not, well, I was one of the consumers actually, that the consumer was not adequately protected, and for the insurer it was a reputational risk, and this insurer after 20 years, now it's in a good condition, still has this problem, first it was a reputational risk, and secondly, it was the insurer had to pay the high interest rate for the delayed payments. The other example has been the systemic denial of claims. An insurer in Slovenia has issued a manual to its claims managers that if a consumer, whilst claiming, is not represented by a lawyer, they should deny the claim outright. I think this case has been also described in one of the novels by by the famous writer of legal novels in the US. I forgot his name. Whatever. So basically, we see this, I think we see this that the consumer has been a subject of systematic fraud, and in such cases, it's a willing act. We would remove the board of the insurers, and in such cases, it might also lead to the revoking of the license. Currently, we have a our serious problem because of the economic crisis is the rising of the churning rates. Basically, independent agents are trying to persuade the clients to surrender the policies and buy new policies from other insurers in order to get the first commission or the commission whilst concluding the contract. And the consumers are not getting what they want. They don't know that they're paying several times the costs of the insurance companies. And this is, of course, affecting the profitability, and if it's done on a large scale, the business model of insurance companies, and we are really trying hard to prevent it. And in addition to these cases, I would like to mention probably the biggest consumer issue Slovenia has faced in the past, which not only had consequences on market conduct and prudential issues, but also systemic issues. In late 80s and early 90s, some Austrian insurers, I'm very sorry, Peter, some Austrian insurers were selling non-admitted policies in then Yugoslavia and afterwards in Slovenia. Those policies were sold by pyramid or Ponzi schemes. The main motive of buyers was not to get insurance protection or even promise of high returns, but to get a commission because they will sell these policies further, most usually to the family members or to their friends. The case is very, very illustrative because it has all the aspects of consumer protection within it. On the market conduct level, the consumers were buying the policies they did not need and maybe could not afford, and very often with a view of surrendering them as soon as possible. The prevailing motive has been to earn commission. The policies were sold by uninformed members of the pyramid scheme, i.e. existing policyholders, which have been trained only on seminars on so-called personal development, whatever that means. On the prudential level, such practices have stopped the production of life insurance policies for local insurance companies, thus affecting them. The Austrian insurers probably had prudential consequences, as when the products have been designed, they have not included such high surrender rates. And last but not least, one of the Austrian insurers has been prevented to enter Slovenian market for a long time, actually until it legalized all these policies. On the systemic side, those selling practices have virtually destroyed life insurance market in Slovenia for at least 5 years. I mean, the life insurance market in Slovenia has not been very important, but it has been completely wiped out. It did not exist until mid or late 90s because of these practices. And what we are dealing at Insurance Supervisory Agency Slovenia right now on the market conduct side is basically we are fighting the remains of these pyramid schemes still, now in 2014. One of the main challenges I see in the insurance supervision on the consumer protection side is managing the conflict of interest between the market conduct, prudential and systemic supervision, which at the end of the day all serve consumers. If market conduct is protecting particular consumers directly, this may negatively affect the insurers as it increases their liabilities, which present a risk for them from the prudential side. If from the systemic perspective it would make sense that an insurer goes bankrupt, it will surely affect the policyholders of the insurers, and it also might affect the solvency position of other insurers as a consequence of reputational risk. So basically we have a real conflict of interest between three approaches to the supervision, which all affect consumer rights. At this stage, I cannot avoid the question, of course, connected to the supervisory framework in a particular jurisdiction. In order to avoid misunderstanding, I know that in Romania you had recent changes in this respect. I strongly believe that we can have a good system of supervision regardless whether it's organized within a single entity, either in a central bank or outside the central bank, or as the separate supervisors. The most important issue is retaining the independence and independence in solving the consumer protection problems. And to finish, I would like to express my views on what are very important tools in improving consumer protection. On the prudential side, I strongly believe in risk-based supervision. Firstly, it is the most important consumer protection supervisory issue that the consumers will be paid what will be due to them in the future. Risk-based supervision is the means to achieve this end, at least to a very reasonable degree. And in Slovenia, we are doing a lot to move towards risk-based supervision. From a practical perspective, in order to avoid risks arising from the relations of consumers with insurers and other supervised entities, we have to look on the question how we tackle with market conduct supervision and what are we doing in this field. In my view, for the future, the following is important. Firstly, we have strongly increased in Slovenia our supervisory activities in respect of sales networks. Of course, we have to be aware of the fact that the supervisors will never have enough resources to deal with the issue in full details. In our authority, we have 35 employees and we have 6,000 agents running around the country. Therefore, in this respect, we have to draw a materiality threshold. Secondly, we have to improve consumer awareness. We have now a project with the Slovenian Insurance Association and with the largest financial newspaper that we will jointly publish a publication, I would say, explaining to the consumers what insurance is and tackling with the most important features or problems the consumers are facing. We, as the supervisors, we will fully endorse this publication on the condition, of course, that the Insurance Association and the publisher will first give us the text, and we will really, I would say, check whether it's not just how do you say, promotion. Thank you for insurers. Thirdly, we have to better understand the business model of the insurers. Dialogue with supervised entities is helping the transparency and consistency of the supervision. The supervised entities need to know and understand what is expected of them. I think this is a very important point. And finally, we have to acknowledge that there are many other authorities which are caring about the consumers, either on market conduct level or systemic level. Therefore, we are strongly supporting the cooperation with other authorities such as competition protection authorities, personal data protection authorities, various consumer protection groups, and etc. Thank you very much.